Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I am joined here, as always, by the man who threw the ball nearly as much as Mac Jones did this Monday. Kyle, how are you doing?
I am doing great. My team is in first place of the AFC, which is awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
that was stressful. I have been doing de-stress exercises basically the last 2 days, recovering from just an incredible game. What good stuff that was.
What is an example of a de-stress exercise?
I don't know. I meditate. I meditated. I
Okay,
honestly had to go for a walk after the game though. Um, I was just like, oh my God, we aren't actually going to do this, right? I just couldn't believe that this actually happened and that they won this way.
Yeah. Let's just get into it. With the wild Monday night game, the Patriots ran the ball or they threw the ball just 3 times. Mac Jones higher passer rating than Josh Allen. There you go. In
Mhm.
this one, somehow the Patriots still end up with a victory here. I guess let's start with the decision for the New England to basically turn into, Bill Belichick wore a Navy mask in pregame, ends up playing this like it's Navy. Well, not exactly though, because part of me was wondering if you're going to do this, why not just wouldn't this have been a great game to still have Cam Newton for, or take Mac Jones out the field altogether?
Yeah, I mean the issue is, I mean they didn't really have anyone to put back there, but I mean they still ran the ball really well, regardless
Mm-hmm.
of who was the quarterback. I thought it was. I mean, I didn't love the game plan. I'll be honest. I didn't
Uh
love it.
huh.
I mean, it terrified me to watch because I'm like, we're just going to go into Buffalo and never throw,
Uh
and we're going
huh.
to expect to actually win this and just hold them off. I didn't love the game plan in that regard. I think they overthought it a little bit. I don't think this game would have changed much if they threw the ball 8 times, 10 times.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they very much said that the biggest X factor of this game is a Monday night football game with a rookie quarterback on the road in some of the worst conditions I've ever seen a football game get played in.
Yeah.
So we are going to take that factor out of the equation. We're taking that out and we're going to say, you know what? We have a better offensive line than their defensive line. We have a better defensive line than their offensive line, and we're going to go dominate them up front and win this game in crappy conditions. And that's what they did. So, I mean, kudos to the Patriots for just kind of doubling down and saying, this is our game plan. We're chewing the clock and we're going to do this. It working. And also, I thought Buffalo had a terrible game plan. I thought it was terribly coached game by Sean McDermott in Buffalo. I just did not think they did a very good job preparing themselves for this game.
Interesting. What didn't you like about the Bills' game plan?
Well, so they started the game in nickel, which didn't make any sense to begin with because
Sure. Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a lot of receivers on the field to start, and also it was 50-mile-an-hour winds. So I didn't understand
Mm-hmm.
starting in nickel. I know that's kind of what they run a lot, anyways. But
Mm-hmm.
you could just look at the situation and say, okay, they're not going to do this. They're not going to throw the ball downfield and test us. Let's just make
Mm-hmm.
sure we have a priority to stop the run in this game, which you should even before the game even started, regardless of the conditions. But knowing the conditions, I thought that was a terrible game plan. And it just seemed like it took them to the fourth quarter to realize that every play is a trap. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I kept watching that game and it's like, I felt like Buffalo was sitting there preparing for a play action pass rather than just stopping the play that was getting 8 yards. I couldn't believe that Ramondre Stevenson only had 78 yards in this game. I felt like I watched 2 straight quarters once Harris went out with that injury of him just dominating the Bills, and he ended up with only 78 yards. They got a couple stops at the end that made him lose some yards, but I thought he had an excellent game in this one. I thought Trent Brown dominated this game. I thought N'Keal Harry
Mm-hmm.
actually blocked excellently.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I
so
mean, this
I
is the ideal N'Keal Harry game, save for the letting a ball hit off your helmet on the punt return. Other than that, hey, don't throw the ball, just let him block all game. Like that. That's
yeah.
exactly what you want.
I mean, he blew up the defensive end like 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Just blew him
Yeah.
up
At what
off the
point do you
line.
say, hey, N'Keal Harry's lined up right next to me? Maybe be aware he could be blocking me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that touchdown play was just atrocious. There was
Mm-hmm.
so much space on that side once that was blown up. And then on the other side, so I don't know what the deal is with what they do, but how was there not because he ended up, I was gonna look it up. He had 6 carries in this game. Um, How was in a lot of those rough scrambles, not design run plays? How is there not 10 design Josh Allen runs?
Yeah. And we even talked
Given
about that going in before we even talked about the weather. Is like, hey, I said, give me 10 Josh Allen runs. This is before this. I was thinking like normal weather. Like, and then this game, they only get 6. And you're right. A lot of them were scrambles.
Yeah. So I just thought McDermott and his crew did a terrible job preparing for this game. They almost pulled it out because, I mean, they have talent. But, I mean, even if you look at their 10 points, you know, for whatever reason, they decided to put N'Keal Harry back there for, like, the first time ever in his NFL career.
Uh
They
huh.
said – I saw Jeff Howe, who used to be a beat reporter for the Patriots, said that they had Harry back there in training camp. He took a punt off the helmet, and then he never took a punt in training camp again.
Incredible.
So – I don't know why he was even back there. That was bad decision. That was the only bad decision I thought by New England this entire game. And then the other, so they got 7 points off of that. And then their other 3 points were off of just an atrociously bad late hit call on the sideline when Josh
Yeah.
Allen's fighting for yards. You could
Mm-hmm.
still argue, oh, well, he should have got the first down on the spot. That's still 15 yards in a game where they were struggling to get 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that, they got 10 points basically gifted to them. I just thought it was badly done. Everything Buffalo did, I would have done the opposite. I just thought they had a terribly prepared game.
Yeah, I don't know if it's totally fair to say all 7 points are simply on that bad call. It was a bad call, but also like, it would have been 4th and 1. Like, you have a chance to go for it, and they still did end up punching it in. But I do get your point of like it was a brutal call. Let's go back to New England for a second though, because I find these types of games so fascinating because there's I'm an analytics guy. There's no analytics for a game like this because it's just such a
Mhm.
unique game. You just kind of have to go, this feels right. Like for New England, I think the constant thing I keep hearing is like, well, it worked, so you can't complain. But I don't know if they
You
scored
can.
14. It's not like it's
Yeah.
not like their offense was incredible, and there still were decent. There were 10 drives in this game each, so that's below average. But it's not like there was like 8 drives where it's like, okay, you really, didn't let them have any time. Uh, like I think my gut says I would have liked to see a couple of like. I think you're right. Like, would it have killed him too much to throw the ball a few times more? Take a shot deep. Like you have one-on-ones on each sideline every single play. Like take one shot deep here and there.
Yeah. I mean, but still, even with this game plan, it seemed like, Buffalo was at least trying a little more to get downfield and make some plays. New England ended up with more yards. Now, granted, a lot of that was off that 64-yard touchdown run, but
Hmm.
they still ended up with 11 more total yards and more yards per play in this game. Um, you know, just a it was a really weird game. I think from the talent on the field standpoint, bless you. I think from the talent on the field standpoint, I don't really take anything away from this game. Um, and I think that's fair because, I
Hmm.
mean, it probably will be once every 10 years that we might see a game like this with this incredible of conditions that, it's basically unplayable almost. So I'm not taking a whole lot from this game. We'll see how they adjust going forward. But I mean, I guess for the Patriots side, I giving kudos to N'Keal Harry for blocking, even though you missed the punt. I thought you did a really good job. Trent
Hmm.
Brown dominated this game on the offensive line.
Sure.
Uh, Stevenson Harris had a great games, and Devon Godshaw. I mean, just incredible in the middle of that defense. I thought he did a good job. Whenever Buffalo wanted to run, there was no room because I thought Godshaw did an incredible job. And you could also throw in J.C. Jackson and Adrian Phillips, but I mean, they were going up with a massive advantage having that win at their disposal. But I thought they
Hmm.
did a good job in coverage too, when a lot of the resources were built to defend the run in this one.
Yeah, and I thought Buffalo had some near misses as well. Where it's like if they hit on one of those plays, like this might be a different
Mhm.
game. Last question, I'll leave you with. Uh, Everyone seemingly gets excited for these football weather games. How do we feel about a game like this? Is this good that the sport that we all love so much? Every now and then there'll be a game that just turns into a completely different sport.
I don't know. Because the funny thing is, the Patriots had this last year. They
Hmm.
had it last year in that Ravens game where it was so foggy and misty that, you could barely see the field by the end of it on that last drive for Baltimore. And they were trying to they were trying to throw the ball downfield to come back, and it's like you could barely see the plays happening on the field. It was so foggy. Um,
Hmm.
so I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan of the everybody should play in a dome.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I'm gonna say I don't mind it, but at the same time, it does get a little goofy watching this, and you're like, oh well, they're just gonna run the ball 45 times. All right.
Yeah, I think you know what. I think I'm in the camp of I like it as an occasional thing. I don't want this to be too common. Like maybe like let's have the football season start in January.
Well, it's still cold in January up there.
Exactly, but that's my point. It's like so we'll get some of those early on in the season, but then once the playoffs come, then it becomes a much more traditional football game.
Well, it's just weird because it's like, right now at the beginning of our seasons, we have potential, hurricanes in Florida during the start of the season. There's
Sure.
stuff like that.
Hmm.
And not to mention that, the temperature can get to 105 degrees in Florida, you know, during that August, September week. So I mean,
Hmm.
there's a give and take with all of it, I feel like.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. I mean, especially like, the way Miami has their stadium to where, the away team has to stand in the sun all game where they get to stand in the shade all game, which is also one of the most hilarious things that happens in a game, which is that Miami does that. But yeah, I guess that's a fair point. At least this way it's all fair. All right, we talked enough about this game. Let's go to the meat of the show. Kyle, we had a good week. We actually only our total plus minus last week, just +1. So we're back.
We are back. We are rolling. We
Hmm.
both hit on our locks, didn't we?
Yep, I think first time all year we both hit on our locks.
Yeah, I'm kind of hot with my hot locks right now. I'm feeling it.
Mhm.
I'm feeling good.
Yes, I like this comment. Florida man hates weather. That's exactly right. Hey, that's why I moved back to Florida. I'm like, get me out of this cold. I want to stay here all my life.
That's a fair point. Once
Mhm.
you leave the cold weather states, it's like, why did we do that?
Exactly. I don't get why there's cities like above like Georgia.
It's like this is why everybody lives in San Diego and Los Angeles. I get it now.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
deal with anything besides the occasional earthquake.
Yeah, occasionally earthquake here. We get the hurricanes. Yeah, it's fine. Hurricane will blow over in a week. Just get drunk the whole time. Let's go to. So the way this works, if you are new here, the way that we do this is we take turns giving each other a game to pick. The other person has to pick that game. We also get a lock of the week in which they have to cover the spread, and points are more important in that one. So, Kyle, you are barely trailing, only a 2 point difference here. It's anyone's game. What game are you going to give me first overall?
I want nothing to do with this game, so I'm going to give this one to you. I don't trust either of these teams further than I can throw them, which is not very far because I don't have a good arm. And they're human beings. I'm going with the Steelers at the Vikings for your game.
Steelers at Vikings here. Yeah, this is a weird one. You're right. This is an unusual scenario. Uh, you know, I got it. There's one team that I've consistently said is a good team that's underperforming, and the other team that I've consistently said is a bad team who's overperforming. I have to pick Minnesota to win this game. Like I have to do that. Like it's a fair pick to go here, but I still just I I can't believe that a team as talented as the Vikings could lose to a team as untalented as the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a true test of can good coaching really, just completely change a talent disparity. I think it might. I think there's a legitimate chance
Yeah.
it could, but I have to go Minnesota here.
I had the Steelers picked on this one, and I just did it like I guess I have to pick a team. Um, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to really think about this Vikings team anymore. We know it's talented, but talent is not winning games.
Hmm.
And we continue to say that about this team. They should be a playoff team. They should be one of the top 6 teams in the NFC, and they're just not. They're not executing late game situations. They have poor coaching, poor game plan, poor approach. And the Steelers have great coaching. And even though it's not a very talented team, it always seems like they have a pretty good game plan and good approach because they have great coaching. I think that's a huge advantage for the Steelers in this one and why I think they can win it.
Yeah, so we have a super chat. The great overlap 618 back. He says it is the undefeated, undisputed king of financial support of this show. Overlap 618 with the gift that keeps on giving. Jackson in a penguin suit. Again, the great overlap. Continuing to put this show through, making this show possible. The official sponsor of the On the Sideline podcast. Overlap 618. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying about like the coaching thing. But like, I just here's my thought. It's like, okay, who's going to cover Justin Jefferson? Like you still have to cover Justin Jefferson in this game. I get that they're only going to throw it to him like 7 times, but like he should still have 7 touchdowns with those 7 times.
I mean, that's the thing, though. We keep saying this. We keep
Hmm.
saying all this stuff like, oh, well, Jefferson's dominant. And hey, Cousins is having a terrific year and he's been excellent, but it's still not winning football games.
Mhm.
They wait until they're down by 10 to start doing what they do best and executing at their highest potential. So I don't know. Part of this is me. I think I'm just out on the Vikings now. I just like until
Mhm.
we see changes with either the coaching or I see a definitive change in the game plan consistently, I'm just out on this team. I can't do this to myself anymore. I don't know how anybody is a Vikings fan in the world and not just constantly annoyed or angry or bitter. Like this has got to be the most frustrating team to watch in the NFL right now. And I'm not saying that
Mhm.
as a hyperbole. If I were a fan of the Vikings, I think I would just not have hair, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, here's one thought. Which quarterback would you rather have, Ben Roethlisberger or Kirk Cousins?
Cousins.
Like, I think
Cousins is
that
better.
there's a huge difference there with
Yeah.
current Ben Roethlisberger versus current Kirk Cousins, who we keep pounding the drum. Kirk Cousins is not at fault for this horrible season. He's playing well.
Yeah. I mean he's playing really well. If he had a little bit of branding, he'd be an MVP candidate. But,
Hmm.
and his team could, win a couple close games. That'd be nice too. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, he's been good. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with this one, but I think right now I'm just picking Steelers.
Yeah, these are the two teams I'm just consistently confused by. So it'll be a fun game tomorrow night. Let's move on. All right, I'm going to give you a game here. I'm giving you a game I want nothing to do with. This is another very fascinating game. I'm giving you Bills at Buccaneers. Where are you going here?
Ooh. All right. I thought about locking this one up, but I'm going to avoid it just because the Bills are too good. But I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, I don't trust a lot to do with Buffalo right now. I'll be honest. I think teams can run on them. Now, that's not Tampa Bay's MO, but without Tre'Davious White out there, let's see what this passing defense looks like. Let's see what this coverage unit looks like. I know they just kind of got embarrassed on Monday Night Football by a team who threw the ball 3 times, but I think the Bucks are a better team and they're getting healthy. And if, Richard Sherman's back, they basically got their full assortment of secondary pieces. I don't really see a spot where the Bills are better than the Buccaneers. So I got the Buccaneers winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, they want to accept Mike Edwards, who was suspended. He's a sort of our rotational safety. He was suspended.
That's right.
Uh,
Yes.
along with the Antonio Brown with the vaccine card thing. So that's the issue. Yeah, I don't know. I think for one thing, this just kind of feels like the game that Buffalo would just like torch the Buccaneers. I could see Buffalo torching the Buccaneers secondary here. But one interesting thing about Buffalo that we should mention is I think there's this narrative and of like the rest of the Buffalo Bills offense is so talented around Josh Allen. They really are just Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, that really is their offense. So I think that I could definitely see the flip side of as long as Tampa Bay can find a way to shut down Diggs, I think they should be okay defensively. But I also think that, like, listen, this Bills defense is still really good. And that's the kind of the thing I keep holding on to for Buffalo. Their offense isn't as good as it was last year, but their defense is much better. I had Buffalo winning in this game in my notes. I decided to give it to you first because I didn't want to take it. I still think Buffalo is really good. I still think like they have a lot of talent and they're a complete football team. Both of these teams are. There's not a lot of flaws, I think, in either of these teams. I would say.
I don't think there's a lot of flaws. I just think if I'm going position group by position group, I think Tampa's just about better everywhere. You know, I think it's better offensive line, defensive line. I guess you could say still maybe the Bills secondary is better than the Buccaneers secondary, but I don't think it's a huge advantage with Tre'Davious White out. They got
That's
good
true.
safeties, but the Bucks got good safeties. How do you feel about this idea of Sherman taking over that Edwards role?
I love it. Also, yeah, I forgot about the Tre'Davious White injury altogether, so that bums me out. But yeah, that does change things a lot. The Richard Sherman thing, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a totally natural progression. Richard Sherman has never been a speedy corner, so putting him in a safety role, I think it's really smart. I think that's like it seems pretty obvious, and this could potentially extend his career if it works out. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it allows him to make plays on the ball, which is something he's always been great at too.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. And like you said, I still think the Buccaneers' pass catching targets are better without Antonio Brown. I mean, we know Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Gronk, when he's been on the field, has been terrific this year. He's been a real significant contributor. I think he's the best tight end in this game by far. And yeah, I mean, I trust the Buccaneers to go in and win this game. I think they're a better team.
Yeah. I think that's probably fair. And just to be clear, as in they're better without Antonio Brown, as in they're better than the Bills even without Antonio Brown, right? You're not saying that they're better by themselves without Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Better
Yeah.
at receiver without Antonio Brown. Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think that okay, you still have, we always talk about that third option. Who's your third best receiver? The third option is Rob Gronkowski. Like that's who,
Mhm.
by the way, is still an elite quarterback. Also, or elite tight end. Also, speaking of elite quarterbacks, like I tweeted this out. It's spectacular. Like Tom Brady's statistics. Like he's having one of his best. Like if you look at his advanced numbers, he's having one of his best seasons ever. Like at 44 years old. How is this guy still in his prime, Kyle?
We have no idea. He's
Maybe he's just entering his prime.
he's bionic. I mean, that's really all there is to it. Is that he's managed to. I mean, the incredible thing is he's managed to avoid a lot of big hits, outside of a couple throughout his career, and he's managed to keep his body in pristine shape. And I think that one of the things we're seeing, I've been talking about this a lot in the NBA specifically, because we're seeing these younger guys kind of use the offseason to relax and take the offseason, where these guys like LeBron and Brady, they prolong their career because it's a 24/7, 365 job. There is no time where Brady's not keeping his body in perfect shape. I think he'd be ready to step on the field on July 5th and basically play a football game because he's in that good of shape constantly. And I think it's prolonged his career for longer than any of us had imagined.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Also, Tom Brady versus Buffalo. I guess, you have to put signs point towards Tom Brady winning.
Yeah, I mean, he owns this team. This is the team he's dominated at, so it'll be interesting. But Bills are a good team. This is not your father's Bill team. For anybody who watched the Bills in the mid 2000s get beat by Brady a lot, this is a good Bills team. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it's true. Very different Bills team. I mean, this is not the team that's going to intentionally start Nathan Peterman at quarterback.
No,
Although it actually is kind of that team, because Josh Allen did not get the starting job because Nathan Peterman did. Which has got to be one of the all-time horrible decisions ever. Was the week 1 Nathan Peterman was the starter, and then I think he lasted half a game.
How bad was Josh Allen in training camp that year?
I mean, probably not great. He wasn't great as a rookie either.
Yeah, that's fair. So,
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Kyle, you give me a game.
All right. I'm giving you the best games of the week, definitely. Started with Steelers Vikings. I am going to give you now Falcons at Panthers.
Yeah, this one was high on my list as well. These are two teams that, I mean, what do you make of these two teams? Divisional matchup. Technically, these are two teams that have a chance for the playoffs. Like these are two teams we probably should I think these are two teams that people in the media have kind of just said okay, every now and then there's teams you don't have to pay as much attention to, right? Like the Lions. Okay, I still watch the 30 minutes on Game Pass, but then that's it. I don't watch I'm not paying that much attention to them. These are two teams that kind of fell into that hole, but it's wait a second, one of these might make the playoffs. We have to start paying attention again. I'm going to go Atlanta, and I'm going to go with Atlanta with the upset here. Carolina is minus 2.5 points, but I think Atlanta pulls this one out. I like their team better. The Carolina Panthers they're such a mess offensively. I didn't like the Joe Brady firing. I didn't think that made sense. I get it. The offense has been underperforming, but I mean, the talent hasn't been there. I mean, you intentionally put Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback, and now you're mad that Joe Brady couldn't fix it. I don't know. I don't get that. I like Atlanta better. Give me Atlanta to win this one.
I think that's fair. Atlanta's 32nd in DVOA. They're last. And
How is that possible?
They're 7 percentage points worse than the Houston Texans in DVOA.
Does that say more about Atlanta or DVOA?
I think it's a little bit of both, probably. But it's crazy that this team is rated as the worst team in football by DVOA, and they have 5 wins.
Yeah.
It is pretty crazy to see that. But even with that, I kind of agree. I think that, I at least see the path where Atlanta moves the ball. As exciting and as happy as everyone is in Carolina about the situation, it hasn't looked good with Cam Newton. Even the first game, he had some plays, but there was no downfield threat. So yeah, I mean, I think Atlanta's in a much better situation to win this game right now. They're not going to challenge Stephon Gilmore a lot in this game. I think that they should win this.
Yeah, I mean, and Atlanta's been both of these teams have just been so inconsistent though. Like this is a good pick. This is my second one on my board actually, because like these two teams have looked like legit playoff teams at uncertain weeks. You catch them on the right week, they look very good. The issue is you catch them on the wrong week, they look like the worst team in football. So that's kind of I think that's where the intrigue is with these two teams. And again, that 7 seed in the NFC completely wide open. Winner of this game will be 6-7. So if Washington loses, they will be tied for a playoff spot.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Carolina should just use New England's game plan from Monday?
Ooh, sure. Yeah, I like that.
Just run the ball 40 times?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I'll co-sign that.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than throwing the ball, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
So I think that they gotta. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know. I feel, even though I don't trust Atlanta's defense outside of AJ Terrell, I don't really know how Carolina moves the ball consistently anymore. I don't know what that team does.
Yeah, and the other aspect you could say is like Carolina does cover well. Like the nice thing about Carolina is like I feel like they have like a defensive core in place. So like that's kind of the one
Yeah.
that's where that's what you feel good about. Like in terms of EPA, they're currently fourth. So like you still have like whereas Atlanta's fifth worst. So like the way they move the ball is just they play the Atlanta Falcons. Like that's how Carolina moves the ball.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
agree.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All
But
right.
yeah, I mean, one has defense, one has offense. There's really nothing for me that separates these two teams. That's why I passed it to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's get off of that gross game with two playoff contenders, which, maybe that's the thought. Do we know we like this 7 seed?
I mean, it was kind of overrated to begin with because it just meant that more bad teams are going to make the playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, this year in particular, I mean, I like it in the AFC this year because,
Right.
like if the
Hmm.
Cleveland Browns make the 7 seed, like I don't think it's an impossible scenario that the Browns make the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Um, you know, but then in the NFC this year, it's like, oh, we're gonna get Atlanta or Carolina in the playoffs because of this, or Philly or something.
Yeah, that's kind of how it worked last year as well. Maybe we just need like the 7 seeds. You just the next two from either from whatever conference or something. But maybe we're getting to because last year the Bears got in at 8-8 with the. But maybe how about this? Just we have a committee and they just decide who gets the 7 seeds.
Or we just go to my idea for every sport, which is abolish conferences and just say the best 14 teams make it.
Or okay, I'm not sure I'm fully on board there. How about this, Kyle? Ping pong ball. Okay, you put a ping pong ball in every single time a team wins a game. So the Lions have one ping pong ball. Or maybe you have maybe you put two ping pong balls in for each win and then one for a tie. You have a big like lottery thing, and that's who gets the 7 seeds. It's just who you pull a ping pong ball out. That'll get rid of tanking.
So you don't like the idea of no conferences, but you like the idea of a lottery to determine the playoff teams.
I mean, I think that this is a very clearly how we view sports. Is you want a more fair and like I think you've said in the past, you're fine with getting rid of playoffs and just having a way, just give us a champion. Whereas I'm very much like, let's make it interesting. It's entertainment. Let's get weird with it. I don't know, make it like Survivor, vote teams out, whatever you want to
Yeah, I mean, it works well for English soccer. The best team wins.
do. Uh-huh.
You can have a mid-season tournament if you want that playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, Luke Brown, ping pong is the solution to all problems. All right, that's good advice.
Well,
Unless you're
must be a good ping
asking
pong
for
player.
what's that?
I said he must be a good ping pong player.
Probably, yeah. All right, well, let's move on. I'm going to give you a game here. I'll give you the game with the tied for the closest spread here. I'm giving you 49ers at Cincinnati Bengals. Niners are 1.5-point favorites. Where are you going?
I'm not going to do it again. I thought about locking this one up. I'm staying away because A, it's the road team, and B, we're not 100% sure Debo Samuel and Fred Warner are going to play, but we think they're going to play. So I'm going to go with the 49ers. I think they're a better team. I really like what they've been doing lately when they're healthy, and now they get their two best players back on the field. I thought they were a much better team and made some really stupid mistakes in that Seahawks game. I think they bounced back with a cleaner game in this one and beat the Bengals.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I think I could see either of these. I don't know. This is such a unique game where the San Francisco 49ers have, been pretty consistent when they've been healthy. They did lose to Seattle, but I don't know how much I really and not bothered by. I think Seattle might be better than we've kind of thought they were heading into that game. The flip side, though, yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, this Bengals team has been the definition of inconsistent. I mean, they've looked like they're world beaters at times. They've, they've given up 400 yards to Mike White. Like this is just like this is the boomer bust team in the NFL right now, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, it really has been. And, the thing is Joe Burrow hurt his pinky in that game. So we don't know, like, how effective he's going to be or, 100%. I think he's going to be, I mean, obviously he's going to play, but, how much is that going to affect him at all, if at all? I think that could be a big thing too. Yeah, I mean, I just think that the Niners are a more consistent team except for one spot. So I was going to ask you, do you have your positional, like, rankings at your disposal right now?
I can pull it up real quick.
I was going to ask, what is the Niners coverage unit rank?
I believe it's. I think it might be tier 1. Let me double check this.
Is it?
It's tier 2. Tier 2.
Tier 2? Because I think they've really improved. Because at the start of the
Yeah.
year, they kind of gave up some big games, and then they've really battled back and kind of figured that stuff out. I think they're a really good group. And yeah, I mean, if Fred Warner and Deebo Samuel on the field, I would have locked this game up. Because I don't know 100% if they are. I'm just going to pick the Niners. I still feel pretty good about it because I just think that they're a better football team.
Yeah, I don't think this is a horrible lock candidate. I also think that, like, I just trust San Francisco I trust Kyle Shanahan to scheme up stuff against this Bengals defense that, like, again, there's soft spots in this zone coverage, and Kyle Shanahan will find them.
And Jimmy G is good enough to make those throws. Like, no one's going to say that he's, as good as 2021 Kirk Cousins or anything, but,
or as good as 2021 Mike White.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think he's good enough to read the zone and make the right play, and especially if he's got his full talent at his disposal.
Yeah, I completely agree. The question, of course, is like, okay, with the Cincinnati team, I guess one thing I have to say about Cincinnati is, maybe like Jamar Chase has kind of not quite been as red hot as he was early on, which I guess we kind of expected with, like, well, he wasn't going to get a 70-yard touchdown every single game of his career, but he has cooled off a little bit. I still like this Bengals offense, but I guess there's that wild card of, they could potentially get some big splash plays. Joe Burrow did play well against the Chargers. I know that, like, Herbert kind of overshadowed it, but Burrow was really good as well. So, like, again, we talk about the most important position of football. They have an advantage there with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I feel like I'm coming off too negative. I really like this Bengals team, and I like how they're set up for the future. I think that the Chargers and them are the two teams that I feel like are kind of a year away. And like you said, I just think that they're a beatable team right now, and I think the Niners are a better team. But yeah, I mean, I like a lot about what this Bengals team can do. Joe Mixon's had an incredible year, I thought. And, Burrow has done really well, and he's had really good receivers at his disposal too. I mean, everything about this team has kind of worked this season. I think it's clicking really well. And I think that this team, even with all that, I think this team can move the ball and put up some points. I just don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, this is what we like, right? Two teams competing for a playoff spot that are good. We don't want Falcons, Panthers. Give us Niners, Bengals. This is the, the Winnie the Pooh meme of Falcons, Panthers is regular Winnie the Pooh, and then in a suit is Winnie the Pooh is Niners, Bengals.
Exactly. I'm definitely going to watch this game. This is on the TV. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
I agree. Let's move on.
Falcons, Panthers will not.
Why don't you give me a game here?
Let's go with this is an interesting one. I'll give you this one. Let's do Ravens at Browns.
All right. Also, my next game. This is a couple times now you've done this to me, so we're in lockstep here. Yeah, I was actually initially surprised that the Browns were favored in this one. They're home, so that changes things. If it was a neutral site, the Ravens would still be favored. But I think I'm going Cleveland here. I think I'm going with where the points are. I like Cleveland in this one. And really what it comes down to is, Kyle, so I've done this now for, it's turned into a weekly segment. I didn't intend it to be, but it's worked out this way where I've done, like, I pick every single game and then see who makes the playoffs. I have the Ravens missing the playoffs. I think that's a legitimate thing that happens because the Marlon Humphrey injury, I think, is a huge deal. I think that really matters because they've lost their top two corners, which was the strength of this team. I think Cleveland will be able to do what they did defensively. They won't get 4 turnovers, but they should be able to, once again, sort of shut down the Ravens defense a little bit. And the flip side, Ravens offense a little bit, excuse me. And the flip side is, without Marlon Humphrey, like the reason why the Browns could not get anything going was because they could not, get separation. You're losing your best corner. Separation is going to happen more. They're going to put up more points. Lamar's going to have a good day to win this, which he can do. That's why this is always a tough matchup. It's always tough to pick against Baltimore because there always is that like Lamar Jackson factor. But I trust the Cleveland Browns supporting cast, despite the fact that there's a huge difference at the quarterback position, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so weird. I feel like we have a lot of these like two divisional teams play their two games within 2-3 weeks of each other. We just saw this 2 weeks ago. It was a really weird game. It was one of the worst primetime games of the year, really, despite being two decent teams. So this is, people don't like saying, when you talk about the most injury or the worst situation team, everybody who has a bad team or an injured team likes to say they have the worst situation right now. Kind of like saying you have the worst offensive line. Everybody thinks they have the worst offensive line, but they're not the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
I think the Ravens are the worst situation in the league right now. I mean, you go through their defense, it's almost a Christmas tree with all the red on the IR stuff here. And it's just crazy that they're doing this with all these guys. Now Calais Campbell's questionable. I imagine he's going to play, but I mean, if he's out, I'm picking the Browns without a doubt because there's just not enough guys left on this team I really trust on the defensive side of the ball. And I agree. I mean, I think that Breaker, he hasn't played well this year by any stretch of the imagination, but without the guys in the secondary, you got to imagine he has some success in this game. Basically from before week 1 in the offseason with the running back situation and Marcus Peters to now, the Ravens are just in a tough shape and they're struggling to stay afloat, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, like the flip side, for Baltimore, I was looking this up, and we're all talking about, disappointing offensive performance against the Steelers. Well, they had 19 points in 10 drives. That's 1.9 points per drive. They averaged 2.06 points per drive. If they converted on that 2-point conversion, they would have actually overperformed their season average. They haven't been that great offensively this season. And now that they're not really good defensively either, like, okay, so what are you good at then? I say this as someone who obviously very much likes the Ravens, but I just don't know. I don't know how you get this done. I think this is a win for Cleveland.
I think I agree. I had the Browns here, and I think I'd pick the Browns just given the situation, but it's tough. It sucks that it's kind of happening this way. I hope the Ravens can rebound and kind of find a way to make the playoffs. I just don't know if they're going to be good enough to do anything with what they got.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. So I'm giving you a game here. I'm going to give you another divisional matchup. Let's go Cowboys. Let's go Balls. Where are you going here?
Talking some balls here. I am going to...
Gonna lock it up?
No, not my consideration. I'm debating on switching my pick.
Oh, well, we'll talk through it. You don't have to give your pick right now. Give us your thoughts on it.
So it's just, we've seen a lot of promise from this ball secondary. I think that they're starting to play a lot better. And, it seemed crazy to think, they lose their, two best defensive linemen and all of a sudden things get better for the defense. But that's kind of what happened is the defense got better because they become more disciplined in the secondary. And while I think they've improved every week, I think Dallas has kind of regressed the last few weeks. And I don't really know what I think about this team. I still think Dallas can be able to move the ball, but couldn't this game, I don't know, I feel like this game could end up in a huge shootout. I could also feel like it ends up like a 21-15 game, 21-14 game where nobody looks really that inspired.
Yeah, I think if this is the shootout that favors Dallas heavily, I think that what Washington has done well is sort of, in that Tampa Bay game, they shifted to playing a lot more two safety deep coverages, mostly just because that's what's given Tampa Bay some trouble. But then it seems like they kind of said, hey, that worked out well. Maybe we should start doing that more often. And they're still disguising, so they're not just going from a straight cover 3 to a straight cover 2, but just getting a lot more disguises in. I think it's helped this team tremendously. It's made their defense a lot better. I think that Washington is a legit playoff contender at this point. I think they're good. I don't know if they're good enough to beat Dallas, though, especially a team like Dallas that has, kind of this good luxury of they can throw the ball well and they can run the ball well. But the flip side is, I think about that Denver game, where Dallas struggled when they couldn't read these disguises. And that's kind of maybe the way that Washington wins this is you just disguise well. It could be that simple to beating Dallas here.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the other side, Dallas is getting a little healthy on the defensive side of the ball too. So there's that part of it where, you kind of like the pieces. You like Lawrence coming back. Micah Parsons has been very good this year. Probably will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So they have some pieces, but I do feel like you can kind of throw in this team now. Like I think we were ready to say Dan Quinn is back. What a defensive coordinator performance.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of got torched in a few games too. I know they played well against the Saints. So
Yeah, what do you mean? They did so well when Taysom Hill kept throwing the ball directly at them.
yeah, I mean, they look great when a tight end is playing quarterback. So, I mean, they got that going for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to pick Dallas. I'm going to stick with it. I think Dallas is still the better team here. And, I mean, you just go through dude for dude, and I like the Dallas dudes more.
Yeah, I mean that's totally fair. And like the flip side is like part of why this matchup seems a lot more even is because we haven't talked about the Washington offense too much. Which like listen, it's not horrible, but it's just there's a huge difference in the Cowboys offense versus the Washington offense, and that's why I think they'll have more success. But it should be fun. Why don't we move on? Why don't you give me a game?
Yeah, I kind of feel I'm reading the tea leaves here, and I think you know what you're going here. I'm going to give it to you just because it's a bold lock choice, I think. Let's go to the other marquee game of the week, Rams at Cardinals.
Yes, let me lock up those Arizona Cardinals. Let's go with it. Listen, Arizona blew out the Rams the first time they played. I like looking at those first matchups. I think that you learn a lot from that. I think a lot of people try to throw those out. I say no, like those are crucial. And about this is how, going back to the playoffs, how I ended up winning this game that we play every week, Kyle, last year was by studying those previous matchups and seeing what I can learn from them. I keep going back to this. Arizona got explosives against the Rams. Like that's not something you're supposed to be able to do. They passed the ball down the field consistently against the Rams. I don't know what the Rams do to counter that. What, you're going to put 5 people back there? There's only so much you can do. You're already playing quarters. So give me Arizona. Give me the lock. All they have to do is, cover. They have to win by 2. If they win by 1, then they don't cover. So I like that. I like Arizona in this one. I still like the Rams. I think the Rams are good. I'm all aboard the Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury train.
I think I agree with it. I had it as a candidate. I don't know if I would have picked it just simply because of, the Rams are still a pretty good team. So, there is a situation where it's like, oh, they just went off in this game and they win. But the Cardinals cover so well, man. Those guys are so fast in their secondary. They cover so much ground. It's really hard to bet against. Like, I feel like, we keep going through it and say, who are the teams in the NFC? And I feel like the Cardinals keep coming out third. But then I keep looking at this team. I look at this secondary. I look at what they can do on offense. I look at Kyler Murray when he's on the field. And I'm like, who's stopping this team when they're fully healthy?
Yeah.
Who's stopping this team when Kyler Murray's on the field? Because they can throw the ball like crazy. They can run the ball. They can do all these different things offensively. And it's so hard to throw on them and throw downfield specifically because Byron Murphy, Budda Baker, I mean, all of these guys are really good in their secondary, and I really like them.
Yeah, I mean, the one way you can kind of beat Arizona is with the running game, but the Rams aren't necessarily their EPA per play 17th in football, so it's not horrible, but it's not like a strength. And if the Rams have to take the ball out of Stafford's hands to run the ball a bunch, you're losing that way. Like that's a loss for you. You want to be able to throw the ball as much as possible. So, and meanwhile, the Cardinals have proven they don't care who you are; they can still throw the ball deep down the field on you. So, I think Arizona is the front runner to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they're fantastic. So that's why I have them winning this.
I get it. I completely agree. I just think that the reason why I didn't want to lock it up is because I still think the Rams are a really good team. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility the Rams win this game. I just think, like you said, we looked at that game, we watched that game, and maybe Arizona kind of jumped them early and took them by surprise. But Arizona is a very good football team. And they were able to throw the ball. They were able to run the ball. I mean, they kind of did whatever they want on that Rams defense. I know there's a few other guys on the team now, but I mean, I was just pull it up here. 10 drives, 465 yards in 10 drives. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, it was a good game for them.
Yeah, it's absurd. And the one X factor, Odell Beckham Jr. has caught 2 touchdowns in 2 games now, caught a touchdown each game for the Rams. I think that if he can sort of become a part of this offense by playoff time, that does change the Rams. I like the Rams. I think the Rams are actually underrated, but I think that the Cardinals are just that much better. So that's why I have them there. You want to move on, or have any other final thoughts on this game?
No, we can move on. I think we just about covered everything there. I like the pick though. A little bold, but I like it.
Hey, that's the slogan here of the On the Sideline podcast. A little bold, but I like it.
I guess so. All right.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you a game here. It's the only real game I can like. I feel like I don't know. We have a clear cutoff, right? There was that game, and then there's a bunch of games that we expect to go a certain way. I'm going to give you the closest spread here. I am going to give you the Saints at Jets here. Where are you going here?
I am going to go with the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love their offensive situation, but at the same time, it's the Jets, so it's hard to pick the Jets in any sort of
Mm-hmm.
situation at all. So, I mean, I guess the thing I look at this is like, is this one of those games? Is this another one of those games where Zach Wilson could just get eaten alive? And it's a real possibility. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the Saints defense is obviously very good. It has to prop up this bad offense. So maybe this is a closer game than we intend, but at the same time, I just don't see enough in the Jets offense to be able to move on the Saints defense.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And like the flip side is, you could say, well, the Saints offense has looked awe-inspiring, but I mean, what do the Jets have on defense? I mean, the Jets they're a complete mess on defense. Like their defenses might be worse than their offense. This is not a good football team, and I totally agree. Where it's like I could totally see this Saints defense just completely scheming up the exact game plan to just make Zach Wilson look a mess. I mean, the way that the Jets win this one is you get some turnover luck, which is what happened last week for the Saints.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need is they need some turnover luck. But I don't think Sean Payton makes the same mistake twice. I really don't. And it sounds like we might finally get Kamara back on the field. I hope we do because this Saints team's unwatchable without him. But I don't think he's going to go there, drop back Taysom Hill. I mean, the situation, obviously, they were down in the game too, that he had to throw. But I just don't think they make that same mistake twice. I don't think he's going to have him throw downfield in this situation.
Yeah, we have a super chat. Hope is not lost for Wilson yet. Jared Goff had the worst rookie season ever, and look at where he is now. Yeah, there you go.
Is this where we pull up the Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie year stat?
That's my favorite. Every time a rookie quarterback has a bad season, or even like a bad couple of seasons, look at Peyton Manning and how many interceptions he had. That's the best.
Yeah, because everyone's going to turn into Peyton Manning.
It's that, and it's Tom Brady using his statistics his first season to like current day statistics that are like obviously like it's a total difference having a passer rating of like 90 then versus now.
Yeah. We're really dumb sometimes as like,
Oh, the worst. Yeah.
media conglomerate. People are just, they love to run with things.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. It's also like, how do we not have a good statistic by now? Like, how are we at 2021 in football? It's NFL's existed for 100 years. We still don't have like one good like quarterback stat.
We're still relying on quarterback rating. We tried this QBR thing and everyone's like, oh, that kind of stinks.
Mhm.
I agree. There's a lot of statistics I want added to the NFL. Some
Mhm.
sort of like quarterback rating that's better than, quarterback rating. And, the depth of tackle is my big one. That's the number one thing I want added.
Yeah, I also love how it's like I'll do these things where I'll say like, oh well, look at these advanced statistics, and people are like, oh, that's PFF. They suck. Look at how many interceptions he's thrown. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? Why are we this stupid still as a football community where we can't just like acknowledge that maybe the stats we used aren't that great?
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
It's tough.
okay. Don't know how we got here, but back to I mean, it's still interesting to watch Zach Wilson play. Like, he is still this like. There still are some plays like every game where like he'll throw one and usually like, it's dropped or it's incomplete, but you're just like, how did he get it there? Like every game, there's at least one of those.
Yeah, and mostly dropped.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's move on. We don't spend forever on that. I guess, Saints could make the playoffs still. Like they're a team. I think when I did my thing, like they were like a win away from making the playoffs. Like they're another team that does have a chance. The issue is they just got to figure out something on offense.
Yeah, I mean, this is another reason not to have a 7 seed in the NFC. So,
Yeah. Hmm.
tough situation, but yeah, I mean, they still got a good defense.
Hmm.
Like I said, they're much more watchable when Kamara's on the field. He hasn't been on the field. Let's hope he's out there.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you give me a game?
Um, This is the worst dog of the group, or the best dog of the group left. So I'll give you this divisional matchup: Raiders at Chiefs.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is my next on the list. Yeah, Chiefs favored by 9.5 points. I think that's high. I think that I know that the Chiefs did kill the Raiders the first time, but I have to think the Raiders are going to play cover 2 in this game, right? Like you have to think that they're going to okay, every single team played one kind of coverage, and it's made the Chiefs struggle all year. We went against that, and we got completely burned. Like I have to think they're going to go back. Okay, we'll learn our lesson and play cover 2 in this one.
I would hope so. If they don't play cover 2 in this, then they should just cycle on to the next defensive coordinator on their list. They should stop hiring cover 3 defensive coordinators, the first thing, and then look for a defensive coordinator who can look at an offense and say, what is the best way to stop this offense? I do think they'll make some adjustments. I don't think it'll be a traditional just cover 3 base setup, even though that's kind of their calling card. I just don't see it. I mean, it's not smart. It's not smart football if they do that. And they should be openly criticized and mocked if they do it. So, I mean, I still think the Chiefs win this game. But at the same time, we saw this last year where the Raiders won. It's not out of the realm of the possibility that they can win this game.
Yeah. The flip side is I feel like, there were times in that Washington football game where Carr could have thrown the ball down the field and chose not to. It's like, listen, you don't have a great team. Throw the ball down the field. Push the ball down the field. Take some chances. If you turn the ball over, you turn the ball over, especially against Kansas City.
Yeah, and I think we were saying that on Sunday too. It's like, we know that the check down's there, but you gotta keep a defense honest a little bit. If he's going to throw it, underneath every time, Hunter Renfrow's stats are going to look awesome. But at the same time, how much does that help your offense?
Yeah, and listen, I'm not blaming the Raiders' flaws on Derek Carr. I'm just saying sometimes you have to overcome these obstacles, and the Raiders, they don't have a ton of talent here. I'm interested to see, maybe we could see a Deshaun Jackson deep shot in this one. That's a fun little wrinkle in this, but yeah. And listen, I would love for the Raiders to win. Like that video will get a ton of views if it does. So please, Raiders, pull this one out. But I do think that it's a tough situation for them. The one flip side is this Chiefs offense still doesn't look great. I went back and rewatched that game, and there were still a lot of mistakes, a lot of missed throws, a lot of drops, a lot of just clunkiness going on. I don't know, maybe it'll be like Tampa Bay where you see this clunkiness, but then they get it together come playoff time. But I think Tampa Bay's almost ruined our perception where they were the one team that actually fixed it at the playoffs and then went on this great run. Usually when you struggle, when you keep having struggles to get on the same page in a regular season, then you still struggle with that in the postseason.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It'll be interesting to see, what happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this team. I'm interested to see too, if this team misses the playoffs again, which, it seems like they're going to at this point, just because the trend of the team, are there significant changes with the team? I think that there's a lot that they have to ask questions about and a lot they still need to improve to get to that point in the playoffs. So I think it's an interesting time for the Raiders. I guess to go, you think, could we see a couple Deshaun Jackson deep balls? Maybe, but at the same time, I think the Chiefs corners are kind of underrated. I think they actually have some good corners, and I think they make plays. I don't think it's necessarily as easy of a team to throw in as we think.
Yeah, maybe, especially with their base cover 2 man, where then got the safeties will play back, especially once it's Juan Thornhill there instead of Daniel Sorensen, elite ball hawk Daniel Sorensen, as we saw from the Denver Broncos game.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot as well. So yeah, it should be fascinating. And if the Chiefs don't end up struggling, wonder what they'll do in the offseason. Perhaps, maybe they'll get crazy and sign another mediocre defensive lineman to a massive contract.
Oh man, yeah, could be happening. So now that unfortunately his season has come to an end, is Kenyon Drake the worst signing of the summer?
It's tough. It's not great. It was one of those that's okay, kind of you get an upgrade at halfback, but what are we exactly doing here?
It's the backup halfback.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fair, right? Because you had the Josh Jacobs thing. I guess maybe the worst signing, also the 12th worst move the Raiders have made in the past 3 years.
That's fair. Well, I mean, Damon Arnett and Henry Ruggs aren't on the team, so I guess that has to be 1 and 2.
Yeah. Exactly. And then, no, Alex Leatherwood still might be number one.
Yeah. We should just do a video of, going through the top 10 worst Raiders moves of the last 5 years.
Yeah, the last 5 years, we'll have to have an honorable mention section to get them all in there.
Yeah. People would not be happy with that video.
Yeah, Raiders fans not thrilled. A bit of a tough situation for the Las Vegas Raiders, but hey, they've given Kansas City trouble in the past. So let's see. Hold out hope. It can happen this time. I'm giving you a game here. I'm gonna give you Jaguars at Titans. I'm giving you this one just because I'm a little bit interested in just how are the Titans still with all the injuries. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is the Titans I think should win this game, and I'm picking the Titans to win this game. Yeah, I mean, the Titans are in a tough spot because obviously we know the long list of people out on the offensive side of the ball. Kind of like what we were saying for the Rams, though. This is an excellent time to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. So can they get this right and figure out some things on this offense? I do think that they should win this game. Like I said, I'm picking them to win this game, but hopefully they can put some things together and look pretty impressive on the offensive side of the ball, or else I have to call into question their long-term success this season.
I mean, yeah, if they lose this game, I mean, it's looking tough. And this is kind of why we said, okay, the Titans, losing Derrick Henry, that obviously hurts, but they're still going to make the playoffs because they have teams like the Jaguars still on their schedule. And the Titans still do cover well. That's the one thing they still have going for them. And Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. He definitely, him like every other quarterback in football needs some help to have success. And so when the help hasn't been there this season, it's looked a little rough. But they're getting a little healthier now. So I do, at least in terms of the passing game. So I think that could help things. And the flip side is just I don't know. Trevor Lawrence has had a weird rookie season, right? Where he had the 3-game stretch where it's okay, here we go. Here's Trevor Lawrence. We're finally starting to see it. He kind of sucked since then. So maybe it's a rookie season and it is what it is. And part of it has been okay, he hasn't been able to throw it to anybody. So I think that's totally fair. We make those excuses for Fields and Wilson as well. But it's tough when you have a rookie quarterback. I guess here's my point. It's tough when you have a rookie quarterback with no one to throw to, and you're expecting him to just, will you to a postseason perform or even beating a postseason team.
Yeah. I mean, I agree because, we've said it multiple times. Laquan Treadwell is his number one receiving option. That's not even NFL caliber talent.
Right.
That's
true or false. Trevor Lawrence would do better with his Clemson receivers than the current Jaguars receivers.
Well, Justin Ross, I guess, still in college. Who are the other guys? Has Amari Rodgers even done anything this year for Green Bay?
Not much. A little bit, I think. Travis Etienne.
Yeah. The big time wide receiver running back duo. And who's the other guy they had? They had another guy.
You're the college guy.
I forget his name. It was 2 years ago, but I mean, yeah, probably. Treadwell's not very good, so yeah, probably. Here's the thing I was thinking about. Not because I need to bring Mac Jones into every conversation, but just because I'm curious.
But not because you need to bring Mac Jones into every conversation.
Because, yeah, exactly. I was thinking about this weirdly, and I think I feel like I'm right in this, but I could be wrong. Would Jacksonville, Chicago, or who's the other? The Jets be better with Mac Jones at quarterback right now?
I think they'd all be better right now. But again, the question is, I think the reason why those three guys went ahead of Mac Jones is because of the upside, not because of the present day. So,
Right.
I think I think it'd be better. But how many more wins? I don't think either of them are even 500 with Mac Jones as quarterback.
I feel like Chicago would be okay if they had Mac Jones.
Maybe they're the one I could see that.
Yeah, if they obviously their defense would have to stay healthy the whole season, which it hasn't this year. But I feel like that team could actually be pretty good. I mean, they even Minshew with spare parts on this Jaguars team the last couple of years moved the ball a little bit. I do feel like Matt could go into any of these situations and be a little bit better right now.
Yeah, you know where he'd be really good? Either Carolina or Denver.
That too, yeah.
Hmm.
They two quarterback needy teams. But yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that for some reason. But I still seen flashes out of Lawrence, and I'm like, okay, there's not many people who can make this kind of throw.
Sure.
And so
Hmm.
obviously you're not thinking about Trevor Lawrence right now, but I mean he's playing with XFL players. I mean, this is an
Yeah.
XFL caliber talent pass catching group. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And like the one nice thing too is like, one pick in the last 5 games. So like he's cleaned that up a little bit. Now, how much of that is like I don't know his turnover worthy plays in that stretch, and maybe he's gotten lucky, but like that's helpful. And you're right. Like we still see the flashes. I'm not trying to say Trevor Lawrence. Like I'm still high on Trevor Lawrence at this point, but like it's more so just a right now. Maybe the better way to say it would be like the passing attack as a whole for Jacksonville. It's just not there. And you're right. It's
Yeah.
probably more receivers than him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he's had his struggles, but I
Hmm.
definitely think that has a lot to do with it. And
Yeah,
as
he's
Michael
looked like a
said,
rookie.
yeah, as Michael said here on the side, T. Higgins was the Clemson guy. So yeah, T. Higgins would be great on this
There you
team.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be better. I think I agree with that then.
Yeah. T.
Mhm.
Higgins and Justin Ross would be an upgrade.
Yes, exactly. Also, 49ers should have drafted MJ10. Yeah, I mean, yeah, how frustrating is it that all the criticism we got for saying that Mac Jones is really good and Mac Jones, like I remember the comments when I said the 49ers should have drafted Mac Jones. Where are those commenters now is what I want to know.
Yeah. Basically, since the June before his last college football season, when I said he was
Hmm.
going to win Heisman and
Yeah.
got robbed by Devontae Smith, I've had the smug SpongeBob face on my basically the entire time. That's just been me. Mac Jones is a good quarterback. I don't care.
Yeah. This has been a very good take for you. This will be in the take Hall of Fame, I think, is your Mac Jones. Actually, it sucks because I'm like the second. I'm like out of the people who are high on Mac Jones. I'm like second highest out of anybody, but I'm podcasting with the highest out of anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've been there forever.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. 4 games left to set it up. We have the Bears at Packers, Lions at Broncos, Giants at Chargers, and Seahawks at Texans. Where are you going here?
Um, I'll give you the red hot Detroit Lions at the Denver Broncos playing their best football at the right time of the year. Who are you
Yes.
picking in this one?
Yes, this is tough. The Lions trying to stave off elimination from the postseason for another week, playing the Denver Broncos. I mean, I have Denver. I even considered locking Denver up. I thought 7.5 actually feels a little light. I like Denver. I think Denver's not a horrible team. Like they do things well. Now, it's not a great team. Like there's obviously clear flaws, and one of the biggest is kind of mediocrity at the quarterback position. This kind of to be kind there. But I still do like this Denver team. I think that they should be able to move the ball offensively, and I think that their defense should at least be able to do better than what the Lion, we saw the Vikings do. The flip side though is like Jared Goff was actually like really good against the Vikings. Like, are we going to talk about that for a second? Like I've watched that tape. Like, is Jared? I think Jared Goff won NFC Player of the Week. Like, are we ever going to bring that up, or are we just going to sort of let that go and think, whatever?
That's so funny.
Hmm.
The Lions win one game. Um, you know, yeah, I mean, he was good in that game.
Hmm.
I give him credit for that. I don't know. I don't know if he, I don't know what this means for the Broncos or the Lions, but yeah, I mean, I think the Broncos should win this game. It'll be interesting. So I guess that's interesting though. So do you think Jared Goff is a bottom 5 quarterback in the league?
As in like bottom 5 starting quarterback, I would say no. I don't think he's like I don't know how much higher he is, but like I feel like Jared Goff's a solid tier 4 quarterback.
Yeah. I think
Mm,
that's if you could have traded for Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, or Jared Goff in the offseason, who would you have taken?
okay. Give me Goff. I think give me Goff.
Yeah. I still like Teddy. I think Teddy's okay. It
Yeah,
was bad,
I like Teddy too.
obviously, against Kansas City, but
Hmm.
I still think he's okay. They should win this one.
Hmm.
I mean, they're playing the Lions. They should win this one. But we also said that last week, so who knows?
Yeah, but it's crazy to say I think Denver is better than Minnesota in terms of just, not that what Denver's done well this season is they won the games they're supposed to win. And like that alone will get you in the hunt here still in December.
Yeah, they're not run by idiots, so they have that going for them.
Right. That's really what it comes down to. It's like, Vic Fangio, this is probably going to be his last season unless Denver goes on a run the last, month or so. But at least they have competent coaching.
Yeah, that was mean. I'm sorry, Mike Zimmer. You're not an idiot. That was mean.
It's fine. Oh, right. Mike Zimmer listening an hour and 5 minutes into this podcast.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know.
Well, yeah. What if Mike Zimmer's like a big? There's no way Mike Zimmer is a big fan. If any head coach is a big fan, Mike Zimmer could not be like the amount of criticism.
Mike Zimmer's not the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably fair. I can't imagine Mike Zimmer being a big YouTube guy.
Yeah, that's true. I think maybe I could see Cliff Kingsbury being a fan. Maybe.
Yeah. Mike Zimmer's too distracted by his girlfriend right now.
What's that? I don't know.
Did you not see this?
No.
He's got like a supermodel girlfriend or something.
What? This cannot be true.
It's serious.
You are. I'm going to Google this right now and see this. This is a prank.
No, he's got a supermodel girlfriend or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing is like, who on the Lions is stopping Javonte Williams? I still think he's a really good running back and he's getting better every week. So yeah, I mean, I don't see the Lions stopping that.
Yeah, so I Googled Mike Zimmer girlfriend. If this was his daughter, I would easily believe it.
I know.
If this was his granddaughter, I wouldn't rule it out immediately.
Apparently, he found a model girlfriend that also happens to be a Vikings fan that also wanted to date him. So it was.
Do you think she's kind of like a little bit like, we might need a new head coach?
Can Kingsbury get a contract here? I don't know.
Yeah. The Lion super chat. The Lions are 5-10 plays from having 4 to 5 wins. Yes, I know this. I get this. This is every week. The Lions have almost won. So leading the league in almost wins. I understand.
Them and the Vikings are competing for almost wins. So they can enjoy that while they're not in the playoffs.
Yes. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to almost win as many games as possible.
Yeah, so you can hang your hat on that rather than actually have to worry about winning the games.
Yeah, exactly. What's hilarious too, though, is like we talk about this and like, oh, Dan Campbell, teams always try. Like, has anyone at this point said like, oh, and by the way, like the Lions have a massive coaching advantage in this one versus the Denver Broncos? Like, no.
Well, they do because they got future president Dan Campbell. No,
I guess so. Also here, I found a picture to post on so this is the alleged Mike Zimmer girlfriend. That's a picture. I mean, that looks like a family photo. Like the one on the right, that looks like a family photo.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, that took the internet by storm for a couple days.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I missed that, but that's bizarre.
Yeah. Anyway, enough looking at coaches' girlfriends. We can move on here.
All right, yeah, let's get off that game. Let's go to now. We got some really interesting ones. I mean, geez, there's not a lot here. I'm going to give you. I mean, I don't know if any of these teams are playing their best quarterback that are currently down. I guess I'm going to give you the one with the biggest spread, Bears at Packers. You still have a lock at some point that you have to pick. So where are you going here?
I am picking the Packers. I'm not going to lock it up, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers against the Bears. I mean, this is an easy pick, right? I mean, there's nothing really to debate about it. Yeah, we can move on, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing we can debate about it is that the flip side is we have the Giants who might be starting Jake Fromm or the Texans who might be starting Davis Mills. So, like, I'll take Justin Fields over the field there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's a tough situation for all these teams now. But yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing is like the Bears competed for a little bit in that game, so maybe they make this interesting. But I mean, the Packers are a way better football team. So,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about like the way that the Bears win this one, and my only thing is like the Bears like stop the run, and for whatever reason, the Packers decide to not throw the football. I guess this game was somewhat competitive the first time these two teams played. Like, you got that going for it.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears can control the clock, run the football, make it, kind of do something like that to make this, shorten the game kind of thing, control the line of scrimmage, try that. But at the same time, the Packers have a way better defensive line than their offensive line.
Yeah, well, here's what we got. Here's what I got. This is the Bears. After that, I own you. I still own you. Comment by Rodgers. They're angry. This is their Super Bowl. The Bears are showing up for this one. The Bears are and literally showing up, because I don't know if they show up to practice every day, because just the way they play on the field. But I think they will be showing up to practice for this week. Maybe that's what you have going for you. Is this is a game that the Bears are going to care for? I don't know. Maybe they only lose by 10 in this one.
Maybe they only lose by 10 is right. Yeah, I mean, that's all fine and dandy. I still think they lose.
Yeah, probably. All right, well, let's move on. You're ready to get off this game, so we'll go to a different one. So you're going to give me a game, and in doing so, give yourself the game that you're going to lock up. The two are the Giants Chargers or the Seahawks Texans. I think you're going to go. I don't know, actually. Where are you going here?
I'm giving you Seahawks at Texans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm picking the Texans, of course. Davis Mills is going to go on his offense. I'm picking the Seahawks to win this. I consider locking this one up. I think Seattle, like, they were like solid. I thought against like San Francisco, they beat a good team. Like, they still have Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. Like, that alone is enough to beat the Texans. That if literally no one else shows up and they have to pick people from the stands to play in this game, they will still beat the Houston Texans.
I mean, this is going to be the best 6 or 7 win team in NFL history, maybe, with the amount of talent on the offensive side of the ball. You know, they should be able to bomb all over this team. There's nothing good about the Texans coverage unit. I don't really see any scenario. I mean, we keep saying this, and we keep seeing the occasional upset. I don't see a scenario the Texans win this game. They can't cover. The Seahawks like to be aggressive downfield with the ball when they throw, and yeah, I mean, the Seahawks should win by a lot.
How did the Texans win this game?
Davis Mills stretches his neck out so far that he chokes the entire Seahawks team. He encases all of them around his neck and chokes them all out, and they can't take the field.
Okay, I was thinking maybe he bites the ball and then just like sort of sticks his neck over the line of scrimmage.
It's a 4-point game on the line. 50-yard line, Texans have the ball, 6 seconds left. And just like Michael Jordan in Space Jam, he stretches his neck and it keeps stretching into the end zone for the touchdown.
Yeah. In my analytical power rankings, which I meant to bring up during the Tampa Bay game, currently the Buccaneers and the Patriots are the number 1 and 2 teams there, so that's fun. Texans are projected over a 17-game season to win less than 1 game.
Don't they have 2 wins?
They do, but they've overperformed massively.
David Culley, new contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a scenario where the Texans win this game unless people are not playing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's get off this. All right. So you're locking up the Giants to beat the Chargers. They don't have to cover because they're the underdog. So you think the Giants will pull off the upset against the Chargers?
No, I'm taking the Chargers to win by double digits.
Oh, wow. What a surprise.
Yeah, Jake Fromm's not an NFL quarterback. I am willing to say that without seeing him take an NFL snap. He's not an NFL quarterback. If the Chargers struggle against the run in this game, they should just stop playing defense for the rest of the season. Like, there's no reason that they should give a bunch of rushing yards when they have an XFL level quarterback going against them. Maybe Canadian Football League level quarterback. I don't know which league's worse, but Jake Fromm should be playing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, not the New York Giants. So yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers should win this game by a lot. I think they win this by double digits.
Yeah, is it surprising that Jake Fromm has such a weak arm given his stance on who should be allowed to own firearms?
It's a little funny. Isn't it hilarious, though, that Daniel Jones is the quarterback for the Giants with the neck injury?
Yeah, we talked about I think this is like the 3rd week in a row we talked about this, and we'll never stop talking about it. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah. It never stops being funny. Yeah, I think the Chargers blow them out. Like, I don't know how they defend Herbert in this passing game. I don't know how they throw the ball with, the future NFL Europe quarterback. They revitalize NFL Europe just so Jake Fromm has a job. I don't know how they are able to throw the ball in the Chargers. I think that the Chargers should just win by 20.
So here's something. Just read this. This posted a couple of hours ago on NFL.com. Giants optimistic Mike Glennon will be cleared to start. How you feel about that? Which, again, thank God. I do not want to see Jake Fromm ever play an NFL game.
Yeah, I'll still lock up the Chargers and feel okay about it. It is a big spread. But I still feel pretty good about it.
Well, here's the other. So I'm just throwing this out there because I think the Chargers will win. We're just talking about whether they will cover the spread or not. The flip side is, okay, couldn't you see this being maybe a Saquon Barkley game of, hey, Chargers, don't let up. They will let up the run by design. Maybe you can rush the football well. Maybe you can limit possessions, which will make it difficult to cover a 10.5-point spread.
It's possible, but at the same time, like, should there be any excuse that the Giants are able to run the ball with that offensive line? Like,
No.
we know that the Chargers can't defend the run, but they should care nothing about the pass with these two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It is hilarious that the Giants said we're going to take a generational talent running back and then just like have the worst offensive line. Like you said, the Dolphins have the worst offensive line. I think Giants don't get enough credit for having the worst offensive line.
Didn't I see something where PFF graded like the Dolphins' offensive line is like the worst in 15 years? But I mean, they're both bad.
Maybe.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
they're both. I don't know about that, but they're both. I'll look it up, but they're both certainly not great.
yeah. As Phoenix over here on the right says, why the Jake Fromm hate? It's because I saw him play quarterback in college. I've
Yeah.
seen everything I need to see.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Fromm has the weakest arm I've ever seen at an NFL. And like he did things well, like he did like read the defense as well and all that stuff. But it's like I think he has my arm. I think like I legitimately think that like if we like Freaky Friday, he would be an equally good quarterback.
That's bold. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's it's certainly it's interesting. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just I don't think that he's an NFL quarterback at all.
So looking up the PFF grades, I'm not sure who has the total worst because it separates from run block and pass blocks. I'd have to do the math here, but Giants 32nd in pass blocking, Dolphins 31st in pass blocking. Meanwhile, the Dolphins are 30th in run blocking, Giants 24th in run blocking. So there you go.
There you go. Maybe they can run the ball.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, and the flip side is, I mean, we should see some cool Justin Herbert plays at least.
Yeah, I definitely think we should.
Uh,
The Giants can't play defense, so yeah, I feel good about that.
I mean, they cover all right.
Okay, but not Chargers good.
Okay, I mean, I don't think that they're like a mess back there.
No, but at the
I mean,
same time,
I'm looking this up right now. Drop back EPA, so EPA per passing play. Giants 14th, Chargers 15th.
wow, that's actually higher than I thought they were. They've had some bad games, I feel like, defending the pass.
They have. They've been inconsistent.
Yeah. I just don't see them stopping Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah. Comment. Bit high pitched there. Listen, I'll get as high pitched as I want. All right. Might go an octave higher. All right. Don't challenge me.
Please don't. I have AirPods in.
Okay. Well, that's our show. Kyle, I'm looking forward to this week. A lot of good games.
Yeah, a lot of good games. Giants, Chargers, Seahawks, Texans. Those should be good ones.
Yeah, sure.
I can't wait to, say I'm not going to watch the Falcons, Panthers until it's like a 2-point game and I have to turn it on and I get annoyed about it. But it should be a fun week overall.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So, Kyle, before we head out, why don't you let them know where they can find us on Twitter?
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That's at On the Sideline JK.
Yes, Kyle, who should win MVP this year?
Thomas Brady.
Yeah, I think so as well. Either him or TJ Watt.
I think the TJ Watt. I think the only other consideration you can have is if like Kyler goes nuts enough the last few weeks of the season to make up for the games missed, the 3 games missed. Like if he just goes nuts these last few weeks, Cardinals take the 1 seed, and you just kind of forget about the games that he missed. I think that's the scenario. Or like everyone kind of cools off and Rodgers wins it by default because the Packers are the 1 seed. I think those are the 2 scenarios, but those are my 3 guys. I think I take those 3 and give up the field, basically.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, so that's our show. Thank you to everyone who watched or listened on the audio only feed. If you're an audio only kind of guy, or girl, we have some female listeners as well. Kyle, there's dozens of them. You can check out the audio only file anywhere you get your podcast. That should be available. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Looking forward to week 14. Coming down to the wire. Should be an interesting week. Looking forward to a couple marquee games this week. Should be fun.
Yeah, bye week, Kyle. You have nothing to watch this week.
I know. Actually, I do have something to watch. I wanted to
Okay.
shout them out real quick. Saturday afternoon, Valdosta State playing the Colorado School of Mines for the NCAA Division II playoff semifinals. 2 wins away from another natty. Going to beat the Colorado School of Mines on Saturday. Set up the championship game a week from now. Looking forward to that. Shout out to Valdosta State.
What is this? What time?
Saturday. It is at
Saturday isn't a time.
I think it's at 5. Let me double check.
Okay. Everyone watch that game and root for Kyle's team.
Yeah. My alma mater. Oh, sorry. It's at noon.
Okay. You were way off.
I was going to tune in on Saturday. I didn't need to look it up right now, but yeah. So yeah, Valdosta State, let's get that dub. Let's do it. And get Kenny Moore to the Pro Bowl too.
Yes. All right. Well, there you go. Again, thanks to everyone for watching. We do appreciate it. We will see you on Sunday at midnight Eastern time, as we always do, previewing all the game or recapping all the game. Thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.